So you're thinking about hiring a freelancer and you don't really know what to look for. This video is for you if that is you. If you want to know what to look for in a freelancer, how to hire good freelancers, how to find the right people for your job, that's what we're going to talk about in this video, so stick around. Hey minions, if you're new to the channel and you like what I have to say, then be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a video. Only do this if you like what I have to say and if you want to hear more about freelancing, entrepreneurship, and personal world domination. For those who don't know me, I'm Lex DeVille, and on this channel we help people escape corporate prison, build freelance empires, and we talk about lots of freelance stuff, tips, advice, freelance writing, and everything in between. And on this video, we are going to talk a little bit about hiring freelancers. So if you're new, consider subscribing. This is a little bit of a different topic for us than what we usually do. Usually my videos are geared toward helping freelancers succeed, but this one's going to be about hiring freelancers. So if you've ever wanted to hire a freelancer, then this would be for you. And before we get into that, I do want to mention that Leveraging Credibility Workshop is coming up. It is still available for a couple of more days. Early bird enrollment is now closed. We've got a good number of people who signed up for it and who will have access to that, but there's still some room, some time, but not much time. It's going to end, I think, on Saturday. So you guys should drop down in the link, check that out if you need to use your credibility to attract, intrigue, and close clients to help you boost your authority so that you can just find better people, make more money on Upwork or anywhere else as a freelancer. This video, let's talk about hiring freelancers. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because I just hired a freelancer. I just went through the whole process. Of course, I've been through the process many times before, but this time it was on my mind. I just went through it again, and the freelancer I chose was going to make at minimum like $1,000 just to start, because this is a project that I'm working on the side. It needed, for right now, I needed a developer, and so went to Upwork, posted a job, and this is specifically how to find good freelancers on Upwork, because that's where I hire freelancers from usually. What follows is going to be, we're going to break this down into some different pieces and elements that I look for. I find that a lot of times clients who are new to the platform, they come on to Upwork and they don't really know, like, how do I know the difference between a good freelancer and a not good freelancer? You've heard that you can get on Upwork and find low prices, people who will develop stuff for you for bottom dollar rates from third world countries, and you've heard things like that probably. And that is true today, and it was true 10 years ago. And when I started on Upwork, when I hired my first person, my first freelancer, it actually wasn't on Upwork. It was before Upwork was Odesk and it merged with the other one. I forget what it was called, but I hired my first freelancer and spent $1,000, and it was a nightmare experience, and I ended up losing about $1,000 because I worked with the wrong person. I just didn't know what to look for in a freelancer. So the first thing you're going to look for whenever you post a job, and the easiest way to get the right freelancer is to post a good job post. You don't want to be vague in your job post. You want to write a job post that is long enough to give enough details, that is long enough and clear enough to say, this is what the scope of the project is, and here's what you would need to know if you are a good fit for this. So if you need a certain type of developer, if you need specific features, and this doesn't have to apply just to developers, it could apply to copywriters, virtual assistants, or to any other type of job that you're applying to. Freelancers need the details of the job so they can know if they're a fit or not. If you give them one line and say, I need a developer, that could be anything. That could be any type of developer. It could mean so many different things nobody knows. So if you want people who are going to be good for a good fit, you need to give the scope of work in your job post. Write a lengthy job post, not super long, but long enough that people can decide for themselves if it's right for them. Now, part of writing this job post, and as you're sorting through freelancers, it's usually going to be pretty obvious if somebody is definitely not a fit for you. As you start to go through proposals, you're going to find that there are a lot of terrible proposals. In fact, most of the proposals you get, most of the cover letters you get are going to be terrible. They have terrible writing, they don't pay attention to the job requirements, and they just plain don't pay attention at all. They don't really care. They're just there for a paycheck, and so they copy and paste their proposals and things like that. So when you write your job post, you want a way to easily sort and filter through who is not the right fit versus who is the right fit. And to do that, you are going to, at some point in your job posting, you're going to say, put this word at the top of your proposal. Start your proposal with the word pizza or monster or big house, or I don't know, whatever that word is. You can pick any word. The word doesn't matter. But somewhere in your job post, say, put this word at the beginning of your proposal so that I know that you read this job post. That's one way that you can do it. I didn't do that on my recent job post, and the reason I didn't do that is because instead I said I wanted whoever applies to quote me 2 things. 1, about how long you think it'll take to create this, and 2, a fixed price quote, an estimation of what you think it would take to get this job done. So anybody who didn't quote those 2 things, time and price, I would know was not a fit for me because that's what I asked for. So you're going to ask for some specific things like that, and then when you start to get proposals, you're going to know very quickly, did they read my job post or not? And if they didn't read your job post, then they're definitely not a fit. So that's the number one thing for me is, did you read my job post? If you didn't read it, then you don't even know the details of what we're doing, what I'm trying to accomplish here. And that means you didn't care enough to read my job post. You did not care enough. And if you didn't care enough, then I don't want you as my freelancer. I do not want to hire you because you're not the best person for the job. That's the number one thing that you're looking for in freelancers is, did they pay attention? Did they read your job post? Did they put your secret word or meet some requirement that you had whenever they applied? The next thing that is a really big deal to me is, what does the freelancer talk about whenever they write a proposal? You can usually tell if it's a copy and paste proposal because it's going to look very spammy almost. It's going to look like a canned response. It's going to look like something that they copied and pasted. It's not going to have anything tailored to you. It's not going to talk about your job or the details of your job. It's not going to use your name. It's not going to address anything in a personalized manner for you. And if a freelancer does not do that, then they're probably not going to be the best person for the job because they show that they didn't read so closely. They didn't care. They felt like it was more important to put a proposal out there and to get as many proposals out there per day as possible rather than spending the time to show why they are the best person for this job. So freelancers who are a good fit, freelancers who are going to do very well for you, those kinds of freelancers are going to be the people who spend a lot of time. They don't have to spend a lot of time, but they're going to be the kind of people who customize their proposal, their cover letter, for your job post. It's going to be specific to your needs. They're going to say, you need this and this and this, and then they're going to say, here's how I can accomplish that for you. Hold on. I let the cat in the room one day. Big mistake. If you go in here and you read these proposals and they're not tailored to your job post, just move on. It's not worth it. The next thing is going to be irrelevant portfolio pieces, and this doesn't have to be in their Upwork portfolio. A lot of freelancers I've found will link to different portfolio pieces. So in their copy and pasted job post, they'll have like 10 links, 5 links, whatever those are, or they'll have portfolio pieces down below and on their Upwork profile. Either way, if they're not a match for what you're doing, then that's a red flag for me, especially if the links are in their proposal. If they put portfolio links in their proposal and you click those links and they are completely unrelated to the thing that you need done, then that's a big red flag. Skip that person. They're not going to be worth interviewing. They're not going to be worth talking to any further at all. If they do not meet some of your basic requirements. So one of my requirements for this job was that the freelancer be based out of the United States. Now, if I were on the freelancing side and I saw a requirement like this, like it said, maybe it said Pacific time frame only. If you're not in Pacific time, then don't apply to this gig. If it had that requirement, I might still apply, even though I'm in Central Standard Time. And I'm going to meet all the other requirements as a thing. I'm going to show why it's okay to work with me, why that's safe. But sometimes you have specific requirements for a job, and people are going to overlook those or they're just going to ignore them. So for my job, I put that I needed a U.S. freelancer, and I did that for contractual reasons. but I had a whole bunch of freelancers who were not from the US who applied, and they just got ignored. It was a waste of their connects, but that goes back to them not really reading the job post. They just click on a job and then submit a copy and paste proposal. It's so weird to me because that never gets results. But just watch out for that. If you have requirements, stick to them. If there's a reason you have those requirements, just hold your guns. Even if you don't hire somebody this time, hold to your guns because you don't want to hire the wrong person. Jobs success score, JSS score below 80%. This one's kind of a tricky one because just because somebody's JSS score is low doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad freelancer. Sometimes people get dinged on JSS for different reasons, but it's one of the first things you see whenever you are looking through proposals. You're going to see their JSS score, and it's going to jump out at you. For some of these people, they're going to have 100% job success score, and other ones are going to have 80%, and some are going to have 60% or below. And so whenever I'm looking through these, job success score doesn't matter that much to me because there are a lot of different calculations that go into it, and some of them aren't really that fair to the freelancer. They're kind of ridiculous, but in general, I will not hire somebody who has below it an 80% job success score because there's almost no way that you have below 80% job success and haven't had a really bad experience with a client somewhere where they've given you 3 stars or below on your feedback. Something really negative has happened. In my opinion, this is what usually is the case. So if you have below 80%, if a freelancer has below 80% job success score, I won't hire them. If they have in the 90s, that's great. If there is somebody who has 100% and has met your requirements, has paid attention to your job post, and you've got another person who did all those things too, but they're at 80%, go with the person with 100%. It just makes sense. It makes sense. It's just going to be a better outcome. The last big thing that I want to talk about is freelancers who don't speak your language very well. So it is okay to work with freelancers from countries that you're unfamiliar with, countries that you might have lots of different stereotypes about, or just you don't know what it's like working with freelancers from those countries. It's okay to work with them. There's a lot of safety precautions on Upwork, and freelancers actually stand to lose a lot if they get kicked off of Upwork because Upwork is the leading freelance platform on the planet. So if I'm a freelancer and I'm from like a third world country, for the most part, it doesn't really benefit me to try and scam you because the second I scam you and I get caught, then I'm going to get kicked off the platform and I'm not going to be able to make any more money there, and that's bad. But if a freelancer doesn't speak your language very well, that's a red flag for me. I don't want to try to translate what I need to a freelancer who already doesn't speak my language very well. I don't want to have to play translator. Not only does it eat up my time and energy, but it is very likely to lead to a poor outcome, especially if I'm trying to have something developed, whatever that may be, an app, a plugin, a website, something like that, whatever it is. It's just probably not going to turn out that well. I'm not going to get what I want because I couldn't clearly convey that my needs to this freelancer. And usually communication is the biggest source of disappointments between freelancers and clients. It's going to be disappointments in communication. There's a miscommunication, so the freelancer doesn't understand what you need, or you didn't tell them what you need clearly enough, and so they couldn't deliver what you need, and therefore you gave them negative feedback, they give you negative feedback, everybody's unhappy, and you wasted money, and that's how that goes. So if a freelancer does not clearly speak your language, if it is clear that they are not fluent in your language, then to me, that's a reason not to go with that freelancer. And I would not hire somebody who is not competent enough in my language, which is the English language, to understand what I need. And it's usually pretty clear. If you have to repeat yourself several times in different ways to explain what you need to them, then probably not going to be the one. Now, the very last thing I want to talk about for freelancers, whenever you're trying to hire somebody, if you were doing something for a higher price, if you were planning to pay a little more, and if you're aiming for quality, especially if you're aiming for quality from US freelancers, you need to talk to these people on a live Zoom call. You need to talk to your freelancers on a live call. At a minimum, it should be a live audio phone call, but I think a Zoom call is better. You get a feel for the freelancer. You get to see their body language, their facial expressions. You get to see what they're like, how they think, are they telling the truth in their proposals. All of these things kind of come out whenever you get on a live call with them, especially a live Zoom call where there's nowhere to hide. It's just you and them in front of the camera face to face. And as a client, you should be willing to get on these calls if you want to save money and if you don't want to waste money. If you want to avoid spending money on a freelancer who's not going to get the job done, then you need to be willing to get on these calls so that you can talk to freelancers, especially US freelancers, and make sure that they understand what you need and that they can get the job done for you. And when you do that, you're going to have a much, much better experience hiring freelancers. You're going to find the right people, you're going to find better workers for your gigs, and you're going to stop thinking that freelancers are just low budget, low quality people, because there's plenty of high quality freelancers out there who can get the job done right and well and can take some of the workload off of your hands and free up your time so that you can focus on your business. That's what it's really all about. So stick to these thoughts, and hopefully these will help you find good freelancers. Hopefully my cat isn't destroying the entire room. If you liked anything in this video, drop me a like. It is really helpful. And remember to subscribe if you want more videos like this. We can talk about hiring again in the future. For the rest of you freelancers, if you have any questions, drop them in a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lex DeVille, and I will see you next time.